Welcome back to our series on Call to Community. We are on to chapter 47, so...
We're getting really close, fast approaching 52, which would be a whole year of these videos that we've been making.
Yeah, we're going to have to celebrate.
We're going to celebrate with something.
So this chapter is called Next Door, and it's written by Charles Moore, the author that compiled this book. So thank you, Professor Moore, Dr. Moore. The chapter really focuses on how it's our gift to the world to live together and love each other. So loving your neighbor as yourself as the ultimate goal that leads towards loving God and Jesus and serving him. So I thought that this was a really, really great synopsis of why that's important. And I think today, if we just talk about examples of how we can do that in community that can lead to a other-based society, not an I-based society that actually calls for survival and keeps us from collapsing in on ourselves. So wondering what your thoughts are, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, first, just to Charles very helpfully frames this with a bunch of passages that will be familiar to many people. Matthew 25, of course, is often quoted by advocates for the poor. That's, the least whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me. Very powerful words. Charles points out that what often gets left out in quoting this parable of the sheep and the goats is Jesus' reference to the least of these brothers of mine. Most of us presume that Jesus simply saw all the hungry and thirsty as his brothers and sisters. But is that all he meant? Elsewhere in Matthew we read, "And if anyone gives a cup of cold water to one of these little ones, because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward." And I think what we're getting at with that is it's the services of love, not in abstraction, which we've talked about before, but to our fellow believers. And it's in those deeds of love that we show to each other as fellow believers that we witness to the world that we are followers of Jesus, right? Where's that line, so that the world will believe that I came from the Father. And I think it's not just a matter, Doreen, of us being together and being friendly to each other and making life comfortable for ourselves. Our witness, the evidence, is our life together, right? That is the witness that we hope the world sees.
Yes, and loving your neighbor as yourself also informs the way that we set up the community, the way that it's structured, and every aspect of life kind of revolves around that concept and putting it into concrete reality rather than just the abstraction. So I think we're very fortunate. I mean,
we should talk about some specifics, like you were saying. I think the biggest aspect of this is work. So we're a community of work. Work is faith made evident. It's belief made evident when we actually put our hands and our minds to creating and making. And the way we approach work at the Bruderhof is that it's all at the service of the community, and everything should be done with a mind to how does this build up community. And if something doesn't build up community, then we need to find a different way to do it. So, for example, in our businesses, we have mothers who work in our businesses. When a family has a new baby, regardless of what the mother's task within the business is, her schedule will be adjusted could be up to a year, so that she has time to care for her baby.
But that's not on her own. She has a nursery that the baby can join at 6 weeks, but then living on campus, living right there where she works and then lives, enables the mom to just come and go freely from the nursery to care for her child. And I think that's just an amazing concept. Like, where else can you get that? Where, the mom can interact with whoever is caring for her baby, and that person is, I think work and care just go hand in hand, and you can't really separate them out. And this is sometimes at odds with business, with making money. that's also kind of an interesting thing that we balance.
Yeah, I mean, another example is, someone who is a lead designer in the business, designing products, which we then manufacture to make our living. If his parent or someone in his family becomes ill or has a chronic illness, that person will be given time at sacrifice to the business to do that care, to put that care first. So everything is at the service of the community, at service of brothers and sisters, and none of us are defined by our job title. And I think that's a really important sort of reframing of what we're meant to be doing is, how can we serve one another? What's the best ways we can serve each other?
Mm-hmm. And that also makes it personal. I mean, I often feel like when you're involved in just the constructs of other businesses or just the huge, industrialization and things that the world has to offer that people try to kind of get involved with and then make a name for themselves, you totally lose that personalization. And in this frame of reference, you can have that because it's about the people and it's about your neighbor, it's about your brother and sister and what's best for them as individuals and how they can then contribute. So it just completely turns the world up on its head, which is the goal.
Yeah. To clarify, we're not talking about, just creating a comfortable existence for ourselves where we just, care for our own needs. This is really open for anyone who wants it, who's willing to put that work in. I mean, you can't be a freeloader in community, so you also have to be willing to give. You can't just come here to receive. But it is open for anyone, and that is, it's not in the sense of making a comfortable life. It's in the sense of the witness that needs to go out, that needs to inspire and give hope to people who may be, hopeless, to see something different, that something else is possible, a life of care, a life of love and justice. So that's really what this chapter is about. Doreen, you have any closing thoughts?
No, just that true community involves relationships and not programs and institutions. Those can't carry the day, but it's if we let those programs and institutions that we organize ourselves with, if we inform those with the love, then that's the goal.
That is the goal. So, good chapter. Next week we'll be on to chapter 48, Interruptions. Look forward to talking then.